It Happened on the Job, the podcast for relatable conversations with contractors. Sponsored by Goodman Insurance.
Welcome to It Happened on the Job, episode 144. Today, my name is Mike. That's Brian.
Yo.
Before we get started, I want to let you know that this episode is brought to you by the Buildsters. Check out thebuildsters.com to find out how to become an accredited Buildsters Pro member today. You'll instantly become a part of a network of the best suppliers, manufacturers, and contractors in the industry, where you have the ability to showcase your work to thousands of qualified buyers. Stop paying for leads that don't convert and become a Buildsters Pro member today. How are we doing, Todd?
Hey, Todd. I guess we should introduce him first.
Yeah. I had a few marbles in my mouth during that ad read, so I wanted to kind of say something.
Just
a little
get
bit
it out,
clearer.
get it done,
Yeah.
and move on. Yeah. Our guest today, Todd Pearson, president of All Bay Paint. How are you doing, Todd?
I'm doing good. So if I can have fun like you two are, we'll be doing great.
Yeah, I guarantee you will.
Yeah, this is easy. This is the fun stuff.
Well, pretty much how we get started with every show, and I feel like I grabbed that line from you, Mike.
Yeah.
Todd, tell us about yourself and how you got started in the construction industry.
Give us your story.
Yeah, how you got where you're at today, your journey.
It all started with family. Had a grandfather who was in construction, and then my father got into it. It all started pretty much in Morgan Hill, California.
Okay.
Dad was a general contractor, built custom homes, and then got into semi-custom homes. And then he actually sold the business and the development at 40 and retired. So
At 40, that's not a bad day. That's not a bad gig right there.
I should have retired 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And you figure 21 years ago, the money went a lot further than it does today.
Yeah, amen to that. Jeez.
He bought a big boat, did a lot of fishing. So he
Good for him.
lived his dream out and still plugging away. Now
Yeah.
he just plants flowers in his front yard and is a happy man.
That's
That's
awesome.
awesome. Good for him.
So at a very young age, we were all part of that construction business. I have a younger brother who was a lot bigger than I am. And because I was the smallest one, I got to crawl underneath all of those subfloors, foundations, and clean the wood out. So never forgive my brother for that. That's kind of, we were unpaid labor.
Yep.
Probably until we were 15, 16, when then he started paying us so that we could actually buy cars and not his. It was a great life in Morgan Hill. It's a great place to grow up, a great place to leave from. So now it's just becoming the bedroom community for Silicon Valley.
Wow.
So still a nice place to grow up.
Yeah.
So from there, my dad invested. I went to school for architecture, and that's when, way back in like 1980, which just aged me out, was when the whole residential, the crash with building. And so my parents bought a True Value hardware store. So my dreams of architecture kind of got put on the back burner to run the hardware store in Morgan Hill. Did that for 10 years, got into the retail business. Retail sucks. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody.
Yep.
The hours, the clients, don't get me wrong, I had fun, but it gave you a whole different experience. That's kind of where the painting came in. When that we closed that down after 10 years, I went to work for Fuller O'Brien Paints that does not even exist anymore. They had a plant right next to San Francisco Airport. The Crowley family owned it. I worked for them, managing stores, got into the outside sales for them. It was bought up by ICI Paints, which was bought up by PPG Paints. But I went to work estimating using my knowledge of reading plans and the architecture part of it. Went to work for a big union painting contractor. They kind of I was their sales rep. They brought me in. So that's where the whole estimating part of it came in. And then someone else made me another offer after 5 years I couldn't turn down. And that's when the kids were young and it gave me more freedom. And then I was with another painting contractor for 10 years. Learned a lot, learned the business, how it was run, his kind of format. And then we parted ways 11 years ago, about now. And then I was looking for a job, kind of what I wanted to do. I had 7 offers in 8 days.
Wow.
To go to work for someone or to start my own with a backer, or to start a painting division for a general contractor. I opted for to go into business with someone who is very well known in the commercial property management business. He had his own company. He had some other, a construction of facilities and HVAC. So he's kind of adding paint to it. So it was 10 years with him. In fact, the name All Bay Paint came around because my youngest son and my daughter were about 10 and 12 at the time. And it's like, okay, we have to come up with, step back. I had to sell the Porsche to start the business.
That's a sad day right there.
That was a really sad day because that was it sat in the garage and it was my attitude adjustment. That was my hobby. My wife couldn't find me. I was out just putting polish on a black Porsche. Sold that to start the business in 2010, right after that wonderful recession. Hit the ground running. The name came about because I told the kids we needed to come up with a name and I wanted it in the first 4 letters of the alphabet. So that's where All Bay Paint came. And then it's been a ride.
So you've had it now for what, 11 years now?
Yes.
Wow.
Yep. And then with my business partner, he had a facilities company that had 4 engineers in it. And so I basically took that over for him and we rebranded it to All Bay Facilities. And we ended up with 14 engineers. And
what are they doing for you guys?
That's where the story changes. But we did well. We, over those about 8 years that I had All Bay Facilities and All Bay Paint was phenomenal because about 3/4 of my business is just with property managers. And there's just something with working with the property managers, you're going to get paid. Yeah. And they pay within 10 days. So the cash flow is phenomenal. They have, the money's budgeted. So I might be working on budgets right now that'll be approved in 2022. So we were always access and right there for the property managers. And the facilities went hand in hand. So March 15th, 2020, I get an email from my partner at the time saying he's done. Right as COVID hit.
Like he's retiring or he's
done with you or?
That's the interesting.
He got COVID?
No. So he told me that we would be shutting All Bay Paint down March 31st and lay all employees off from All Bay Paint and terminate them on April 1st. Now, mind you, March 31st is my birthday. So for my 60th birthday, I got to lay every person that worked for me off. And wow. Most of them had been with me for 11 years.
Yeah. Wow.
So come to find out much later, after all of this happened, he was in Texas and with health issues. So in my own way, I mean, it was a tough road, you know, the division and everything, but in my own way, he was looking out for me, and he set me up for success on my own. Because June, 1st of June, or in the May, June was our first payroll.
Okay.
So I had jobs in process that we had to finish because they were under my contractor's license. It was my name, my reputation. So we were back up and running, you know, just a couple months later. And since we're doing phenomenal. So it was a rough ride. I do no longer have anything to do with All Bay facilities. And because I was basically fired from that. Now it's like, okay, well, because
so it sounds like, if I understand correctly, he was more like, he was the investor and you were the sweat equity. It sounds like, in terms of the partnership.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He was looking to get out. Yeah.
And he was looking to get out. And since then he has passed away.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
He, you know, so that I'm not dealing with his family.
Yeah.
Of his things. In his own way, he was protecting me.
Yeah, that's actually kind of cool. Yeah.
So, I mean, other than, you know, there wouldn't have been a good time to ever truly make a separation, but I made 3 phone calls, one to an attorney who is phenomenal, an insurance company, and an accounting firm.
Yeah.
So those were the 3 phone calls I made. The license, painting contractor's license, was in my name. I kept the federal tax ID numbers, and we were up and running. Went from a really nice office to now I'm in Regis Suites, and it is literally a 10 by 14 room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tried to work from home, but my wife kept trying to feed me, so I just couldn't stay. So I brought Mitchell over with me. He is running the office, doing the accounting. He's phenomenal. But he took and set the whole accounting program up for us on QuickBooks. And we hit the ground running and have not slowed down. David, who was my superintendent, he came with me, of course. And he needed it, wanted it in title. And I said, give yourself a title. Makes, you know, so he is VP of operations, but basically he is my superintendent, runs all the men in the field, does a phenomenal job there. And then I have Alex who estimates with me. So, you know, we're, you know, our core is property managers. All of our leads pretty much come through CREW, which is Career Real Estate Women, because the majority of property managers are women.
Yeah.
And then there's also BOMA, which is Building Owners and Managers Association. I belonged to that for years. And then there's a small little organization that is ACRA, which is the Association for Career Real Estate Managers. And that's up in the San Mateo, the Peninsula area here in the Bay Area. So that's where I generate my leads, and I focus on those. And that's my advertisement. It's getting us out, being a face with people. And the property managers, I know there's one, her name's Jennifer Kallenbach, and she is now general manager with LBA Logistics. But I remember she was just out of college when I met her, and she has moved from a few companies, but she keeps taking me with. But she remembers my son, who was 3 years old at the time. I didn't have daycare. I had an appointment with her, and I took Matthew with me. And tell you, this little blonde-headed kid could open any door
I was gonna
out.
say, sealed the deal for you, huh?
Sealed it, there was another property manager I had to see, and might have been about the same time day. It could have been the same day, but took him in an elevator in a high rise, and the elevator talked to you, saying first floor, second, wherever you're going, it talked to you. He thought that was the greatest thing in the world, and he had been taking gymnastics at the time, because that's how my wife entertained him while my daughter did dance. And so Dale Green, she was the property manager in the building, and Matthew, she was just fell in love with Matthew, and he did somersaults down the hallway to her. He could do it. And Dale Green, she's retired since, and she is just the sweetest lady. And she actually kept little toys in her desk drawer to give to Matthew.
That's funny.
I took Matthew to her retirement party.
That's awesome.
Just the relationships we built.
I was gonna say, yeah, it seems like a lot of the what you guys do and how you do it is built around those relationships that have been cultivated, obviously over a number of years. And now it's at the point where are you still out creating new relationships through some of those avenues, or is it a cultivation kind of mode for you right now?
No, we're still cultivating. The property managers will move from one company location to another. A new property manager will fill that seat, but they will see the All Bay paint on budgets and on paid invoices. So we're a new property manager comes in, but the old one has us going clear out into the Central Valley here in California, or we're going as far north as Santa Rosa. We have another exterior that is clear out in Modesto, which is a haul for us, but it's because they ask us.
Yeah.
And their 4 buildings are here in Silicon Valley, but the owner bought something out there.
Yeah.
So we keep growing that way. They take us with them, but we're always looking for new property managers to work with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, being able to be successful at that, I mean, obviously a big part of it is that relationship and how you kind of grow those relationships. But I think a bigger piece of it also to be able to maintain them is doing the quality work, right? So maybe speak to some of the things you guys do that maybe you think is a little bit different than others.
That keeps those property managers pulling you along. Yeah.
No, our biggest thing is I am not going to be the cheapest painter out there, but we stand behind everything that we do. We put out an incredibly quality product, and David makes sure of it. So he's doing quality checks before we call and say the job's done or send them an invoice. So they know they're getting a service, whether it is us on the front end, getting them the budgets they need for the next year, or us communicating with them, doing the brush outs, the drawdowns, working with tenants that we need to, and we go above and beyond on the customer service end of it. And we know how to treat the tenants or the buildings that we're in for them. And if someone's looking for price, I said, it's pretty much, we'll be happy to give you a price, but we will not be the lowest. You will find someone out there who's working out of the back of their truck or van, but they're also not going to carry $7 million worth of insurance so that we can be in a multi-story high rise that Apple is in, because you have to have the special insurance
Right.
for privacy. So it's very, very interesting. It's fun. It's like a great big puzzle for me I can put together. We do work for general contractors, but I'm very selective on who we do work for. I want to get paid.
I was going to say, especially if you're,
that might take a while when you're working with
especially
a GC.
if you're used to those property management companies paying you on the regular. Yeah, going to work for a general contractor might be a bit of a culture shock.
Well, and I need to be able to knock on their door to get paid.
Right.
I'm not, we get invited all the time from, general contractors that are across the valley or across the United States, in Roseville, other parts of San Francisco, or, not San Francisco, California. But if I can't knock on their door, I don't want to bid to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't want to work for the great big general contractors that are going to build the Levi Stadium, or that are going to build Chase, or, the great. It would be wonderful. Don't get me wrong. I'd love to be able to drive down the freeway and say, I painted that. But the bigger the job, the more competitive you have to be, and the bigger chance of losing your ass.
Yeah. I
Yep.
was going to say that risk is huge.
Yeah.
Very much so. So we have a really nice niche. Our exteriors, that's our bread and butter that we do. But then, every time a property manager needs to turn a building or a suite over, we're pretty much on speed dial to get that pricing and to get it done quickly so they get it back on the market to lease.
When you say quickly, what is quickly? Like within the budgeted time that they've allotted you?
Yes. Sometimes it's within a couple weeks. Sometimes they have a tenant moving out, and we've got a 2-day window.
Mm-hmm.
Get them pricing and get it painted. So, we're very, very accommodating when it comes to that part of it. And we know our market. We know who needs the most attention.
Yep.
And, I can kind of read the room in a sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
So maybe speak to a little bit. I mean, you mentioned a lot of it is on the customer service side. So I can't imagine you're just looking for anybody with painting experience, right? Because there's an element of,
especially with what they're doing.
Yeah, there's an element of, like you said, the customer service aspect, because you guys are in such I don't want to use the word, but it's kind of negative, but an invasive process, right? I mean, you're going into a facility or a building or a complex where people are living and working and going about their day, and you're kind of screwing all that up from their end, right? I mean, you're making it an inconvenience for them. So maybe speak to that, what your hiring process looks like, or what you're looking for in a new hire to be able to kind of work on that level with you guys.
Well, and that's our biggest problem right now, is finding help. We've got a great team that has been with us.
Which is shocking. I think you're the only contractor that's having a trouble looking for help right now.
Yeah,
Usually,
I can taste that
everybody
sarcasm.
else, everybody else has got it really. Yeah, I'm just kidding. I'm just playing with you, but yeah, no,
I agree.
it sucks right now.
It does, and to find, we have, of the painters that we have right now, I would say most of them have been with me for 8+ years. So, and the one thing that I did is I know how expensive it is to onboard someone and to train them and educate them on how we want our tenants that we work for, our property managers, our contractors, how to be the respectful part of it, how to be, it's manners, it is the no cussing, it is the no, there's no talking pretty much, especially if we're in a suite that's occupied.
Yeah.
So I make sure they're well taken care of, that their salary is very competitive. I offer 100% insurance for my employees. They have the paid days off. They have, so many sick days, which are part of California state law now.
Right.
I pay them mileage. And if my guys are not working 40+ hours a week, I'm not doing my job. So it is very rare we have any guys sitting at home. Most of the time it's because they had a job scheduled. David had it scheduled, and it got pushed back at the last minute.
Right.
But a lot of times we have a job that they can go to and to fill that spot. So it's, we invest in them and they believe in me. in what David, Alex, Mitchell, and I are doing for them. So, we have some of our competitors who don't pay for the insurance because we are non-union painting contractor that but we can work with the union contractors. It all depends on what they're signatory with,
Right.
but painting doesn't fall into it some of the time. So it's a great gig kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely speaks to the retention aspect. I mean, I think that's really important. I think there's a lot of contractors out there or owners of construction companies that feel like, hey, labor is labor, which is unfortunate. I think that stigma is changing, but regardless, there's very few of them that are paying for vacation and full benefits and all those things. So from a retention standpoint, I think you guys are definitely winning there, and I'm sure it helps attract the right kind of people. But where have you had the most success finding people just when you need it? Especially, it sounds like since you're growing, right? But both geographically and kind of in your network, I'd have to imagine you're trying to find people.
A lot of times they find us, and
that probably speaks to what I was just talking about. Yeah, I mean, that your reputation in the industry, I'm sure.
Yeah, so it's word of mouth with the painters, current painters that we have, and they'll bring someone in. David or I mean, we're always if we see a painter on a job site that's not one of ours, we approach them. So other resources are the painting companies. So between the different manufacturers where we pick up the paint,
kind of like you got pulled out of it, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So in fact, when I first opened All Bay Paint, 2 of my employees actually worked in a Kellingmore store.
That's funny.
They hadn't painted, but they knew the product.
Right. Yeah. Right.
That was a win for me right there.
Well, and they knew customer service too, right? Being in retail on some level.
They've got to know how to handle themselves and what they can and can't say.
Yep. Go ahead.
I was going to say, where did that success or where did that idea of working with property managers come into play? Was that just kind of a happy accident that happened years ago and you realized they pay within 10 days? Or was that a strategy that you would learn from someone else?
I had learned from a previous employer.
Yeah.
So he basically didn't want to pay me the money I was worth and what I was bringing in. So he let me go.
Terrible mistake.
And when he let me go, that's when I started All Bay Paint.
Yeah.
And most of those relationships that I built over that 10 years with him followed me.
Yeah.
So it's they're just wonderful people to work with all the way around, the property managers and the general contractors.
Right.
Yeah.
My wife has put up with a lot.
Understandably so. Yeah.
Yeah. Some of my ideas and doing different things and starting different things, the word kill me has been, but we get into a lot of specialty products also, which we've had to bring in the specialty finishes. One of them is a Scuff Master, which is just a very high-end product that we only have a few painters that can actually apply that and apply it correctly, because it'll get a totally metallic finish when we're done with it. We also have a subcontractor that we partner with that does wood veneer paneling, that they can install that, acoustic wrap panels, wall covering of all different grades of wall covering. And we've got another one that we work with that does graphics, so the vinyl murals.
Yeah.
And I had so many of the buildings and suites that we were doing, and we could repaint, a 12-story building, all of the corridors for the property manager. And the paint would look great, the frames would look great, and these wood doors would still look like shit. Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
Only way to describe them, because it's a solid core wood door that's $7,000 plus to replace it for the scratches. So I actually started a wood division, which it's down to Gabby works for me. She is phenomenal, but I sent her to classes, and she actually can repair a wood door that UPS, FedEx, movers just beat the heck out of and scrape it, and there's pieces of wood missing, or the new 88 code changes and they have to change with the height of the knob.
Yeah.
So Gabby can actually fill those with the wood products and tone them and stain them, and then she creates the wood grain back in.
Wow.
So she's even come up with techniques where she can make it look like ridges by doing a build of product on there before she puts the clear over the top.
Yeah.
So we can take, between cabinets, the beautiful wood panels you find in a high-end Class A building lobby that have been scratched. You would never know there was a scratch by the time she finishes. So we can actually make that corridor when we paint it or paint the suite. We can now
look nice.
The doors look new. Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's pretty creative. That's fun. That's and all you're doing is kind of creating job security and retention of clients, right? I mean, being able to wrap it all up.
Now we have a furniture company calling us high-end furniture company for office buildings. They're out of San Francisco. They'll call, and if a piece of wood is damaged coming in,
send you out. Yeah.
But I had to stop working for them because there was that payment factor.
Got to know your value, and it sounds like you do.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that's exactly right too. Knowing your value. So from a marketing standpoint, obviously, a big piece of what you guys do from generating business is those relationships and that networking. But are there things you're doing digitally to kind of put yourself out there, or to make sure that people can see what you're doing and how you do it?
I took a really good look at it. I had someone that did it. She was phenomenal for years, setting everything up. But when COVID hit, I knew I needed to take a different approach. And my new approach has been LinkedIn, because I did not realize I had an All Bay Paint, the company account on LinkedIn. I knew I had mine, and I was always active on that. I've never had Facebook. Well, I take that back. I had Facebook for a very short time, but that was because my wife was watching my daughter, kind of thing, when she was in high school. There again, I'm aging myself, but have redone things on LinkedIn. We've redone the website, and that's kind of how we're reaching out to the property managers, because they're still not back in their office a year later. So, and then we've been posting things on LinkedIn anytime we have finished something that is a little out of the ordinary, or that would, generate some sort of stir or revenue, anything. Just putting it out there. It's pretty simple, but it has, I'm not technology savvy by any means. And now that my son's graduated from Penn State and moved to New York, the remote control and I have a hard time. So he was posting things for LinkedIn for me. Now I'm doing it, and it's like, oh God, I misspelled another word, kind of thing.
I mean, that kind of stuff's okay, right? I mean, it makes you real. Like you're not Google or Apple misspelling things, right? I mean, it's
very fat thumbs.
That's
my biggest excuse.
See, now you got to get an Instagram account and post all these pictures as well, because you know what these property managers are doing. When they're sitting at the bar or hanging out at home on the couch watching TV, they're not scrolling through LinkedIn, right? They're all on Instagram. That's what they're all doing.
I know. It's on my list, but I haven't. And none of my kids want to work for me. The son had to move to Manhattan and started his career there last September. He's loving it because he can eat on every corner.
Yeah.
Calls me for advice with the new job, and I call him for advice on what I should do or how to fix the whatever I totally screwed up on the laptop or the phone.
Or the remote control.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to get him back out here. So when he has a family and he's got those little 3-year-olds, you can take him down a hallway somewhere
Yeah.
and attract new property managers.
That's exactly right. Yes, I actually, at one point, I had property managers reach out to me because when I was much larger, at one point I did have over 32 painters,
Wow.
32 plus. And I actually had to scale it back because I lost quality.
Yeah.
The biggest thing, we might have had the volume going out the door, but I lost quality, I lost touch, I lost a bit of my reputation. So pulling that back in, and so, learning from mistakes always. But then I actually at one point had enough employees between the painters, and if you've looked at the website, you've seen Alex, David, Mitchell, and I, and I want the faces to be there. But at one point I had property managers that were they wanted a calendar. I'm thinking, shit, I had some really good guys working for me. The property managers were all women. I think, damn, I should do that calendar thing. I never did because I was told that was HR told me I couldn't. But I thought about it, could be fun. So, and, that's pretty much, it goes right back to my son opening those doors.
Yeah.
So it's not a strategy I ever planned.
Yeah. That's the way it works sometimes though, right?
It worked
But
out.
it worked,
Yeah.
yes. No, now everybody's married that works for me. Everyone that works for me, I could be their father or their grandfather.
Yeah.
And I've always gone for talent. I don't look at who it is or what they are, but what they can bring to the table.
Yep.
And they need to, one of my grandfather's great sayings was, you become who you surround yourself with. And the other one was, I only needed to know enough to be dangerous.
Yep.
I don't need to be an expert
Yep.
in architecture.
Just surround yourself with people that do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't need to know every new paint product that comes out because I've got great sales reps that I can call and get the answers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very cool, man. So what's the future look like for you guys? I mean, it sounds like you're growing, but kind of cautiously, or not necessarily cautiously, but like just kind of organically with your property management people. Is there growth expansion or being able to control that, or what does it look like for you guys?
The future is very bright. For one, now that I don't have a partner, I can honestly say I've never been happier. There's things that I've learned, mistakes I won't repeat. And my wife likes me again because I'm not under the stress of everyone. This year has been for everyone. For me, I actually stopped drinking, which was a big deal because there was a dark hole, and looking back over it, it was who I was associated with then. And just being able to make those decisions on my own that I knew were the right decisions, and not having someone on the financial side telling me what I was going to do has been a huge relief.
Yeah.
And the future is really bright for me because I'm seeing things that we can do, that we can grow on. We've never really gone into the residential one because I love my wife dearly, but I hate painting for her. Typical homeowner kind of thing. And
yeah.
color, you put it on the wall. And she goes, no, that's not right. And it's like, yes, it is. And my wife is actually a great person. If we're not sure about a painter, we do send someone to my house to do some painting. And she says yes or get rid of them.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But she's this little tiny blonde from New York, moved to California 7 years ago. And you just don't mess with the little one.
Yeah.
On you. But we're moving into more of the residential, but it's with property managers.
Yeah.
So it's a door that's opening for us, and should be the way we're setting it up, we have to restructure the type of painters we bring in, what their dollar value is, what we're paying them to make sure we're still profitable doing, because those are very, very competitive when it comes to basically turn and burn those apartments, get them done quickly. Yeah. So we're, I've just been asked if we go to Pasadena to paint a building down there kind of thing. And it's like, why not?
Yeah, why not?
So it's, the future is very bright.
That's awesome.
Just incredible things are going to come out of this pause. And I'm just going to stick with, we had a pause. We had an opportunity to reset, and we're going to take it and run with it.
I was going to say, it sounds like you're definitely running with it for sure.
Well, and I feel like that pause was kind of at an opportune time.
Yeah.
Everybody was paused, right? And so it gave you some time to, gave you a heads up and an advantage to come out of. So,
yeah,
absolutely. And I don't need a big 3,000 square foot office. I don't need some of those things. They're nice, just to have a door so I could talk to you guys would be great. Or I had to Mitchell, he's left the office. He got tired of listening to me. So, but we'll get back there, but all when I'm ready to,
not when you're forced to, or being pushed. Yeah.
Well, very cool, man. Well, we appreciate the time. It's been awesome. We'll let you get back to it and let Mitchell get back in the office so you guys can get some work done. But before we do, let everybody know where to find you or how to get a hold of you guys.
Yeah, we are www.allbaypaint.com. We're located here in San Jose, the Silicon Valley. Mm-hmm. We go as far north. Well, we just keep going further and further.
Yeah, right. Wherever you
Canada
need it, right?
someday. Yeah.
So, and we're having fun while we're doing it. If I can't have fun while we're doing it, there might be a lot of probably the funnest thing we did with before COVID was we had a traveling happy hour. We took the bar to the property managers, and I was a designated driver, but we had a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I want to get back
to
that.
That's a cool idea. Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds good.
And when you've got 30-year-olds working for you, they can keep up with the property managers.
Right.
I just drive. And drive. So we have fun while, and if I'm not having fun, I will find something else to do.
Yeah.
So you guys
cool, Todd. We appreciate the time, man. This has been awesome.
Yes.
We look forward to following you and seeing where you're headed next and watching that success.
Yeah, for sure.
Right back at you, because now I'm following you guys.
Well, thank you very much.
Awesome.
We appreciate
Thanks, Todd.
Okay.
All right, man.
Cool.
Have a good one. Stay safe out there.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. And we're out.
Hey, thanks for listening. And if you've made it this far, go ahead and give us a like or 5 stars or whatever means you like us.
Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next episode. And check out our website for more video content and extras.
While you're there, shoot us a message if you want to be a guest. We'd love to have you on.
Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.